it this time. I go for mine. I get to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. I go for mine. I get to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky.
And we've got a great show for you today. Let me start off by thanking our sponsors at the top of the show and getting that out of the way. Thanks to Ustream and DNA Mal for hosting, doing hosted mail, and WebSpy, and of course Audible_com. If you're a fan of the show, a great thing to do is to thank the sponsors on Twitter and tell them, hey, thanks for supporting the show. And this is like a new advertising technique. Banner ads, maybe they don't work so good, but trust me, when the sponsor sees you thanking them on Twitter, they're like, oh my God, these rabid fans of This Week in Startups are actually thanking me for sponsoring the show. That makes them feel really good. And if they get 10, 20, 30, and some weeks it's 100 of those, they really enjoy it. So special thanks to @Ustream, @WebSpy, @Audible_com. Please, God, let somebody get them the Audible name back instead of me having to say @Audible_com. That's terrible. You have @Sonos, I take it.
I do.
Thank God. And @WebSpy. So we have a great guest today. John MacFarlane is the CEO and founder of Sonos. Everybody knows Sonos. It is the multi-room music system that you started the company back in 2003, correct?
Yeah, probably January of 2003 would be a date you'd pick
Right.
to start.
And to start a hardware-specific company, a startup, is the thing that they tell entrepreneurs not to do. Whatever you do, do not get in the hardware business. It's the worst possible thing to do. And so you decide, and getting into the music space, which is a complete disaster, from start to finish, with Apple owning a closed monopoly, followed by the music industry, especially at that time, not wanting to be involved in anything digital or very concerned about it, reluctant. So you decide, I'm going to pick the toughest space to work in, music, with the big incumbents who are not very into the digital thing. And I'm going to do the thing that every VC says, don't do hardware. Why did you start this company and do something so insane at the time?
Brain damage would be the best description.
Right. Too stupid to know better.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been there.
One time when your production line is stopped because you can't get one part, and you realize that that's good advice. Well, and there was a group of us. I was fortunate, I did a small part other than coaxing everybody to work together. I think everybody else did the work, but we saw a very good opportunity with the confluence of wireless. Music had, with the original Napster, had gone digital for, anybody 10 or more years out of high school or college. That's all they knew. I'd like to say in 2003 we saw the iPod for what it was going to be, but it was a mechanical iPod in those days.
Oh,
and
yeah,
only
that
on
great
the
click
Apple.
wheel.
Yeah, so we kind of dismissed it actually, and but there was a lot of activity around the portable music space, and that clearly was happening. There wasn't so clearly an analog in the home space, and so what we set out to do was fill your living space with music. And the twist for us was bring it in from anywhere on the planet, i.e. leverage the internet. And as you looked at entertainment for the home, there was music and there was video, and video looked a lot harder. It certainly caught everybody's eye, but it didn't. The content was even more difficult than music, and as you said, music in that time period was problematic.
I mean, the biggest company was the Rio.
Yeah,
right?
that's
With
right.
Their,
that's
could
right.
hold. I think it could hold. The first one I got could hold 15 whole songs.
Yeah, I think it held a little more than that, but
20. I mean, literally wasn't more than 2 or 3 albums.
Yeah.
And
I still have one if you want it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, those will become very valuable in the future.
Translucent blue case.
Yeah, it was a pretty miraculous device when it came out. It was kind of mind-blowing.
Way ahead of its time, for sure.
Yeah. So when I moved out here to LA from New York, I remember going to people's houses, and I guess it's, you come from New York, people just have a little cubbyhole, like a loft or a dirty apartment or something like that. And then out here, people have these huge mansions and stuff like that, and they had these big, huge devices called Questrons.
Yep.
And I was just like, wow, what the hell is that thing? And they'd be like, oh, yeah, it controls everything. It's the device to control the place. I said, wow, that's amazing. I want to get one of those. How much does that cost? And they said, $150,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much the install price for a Questron.
Yeah, easily.
So Did you have one of those, and were you inspired to make this to sort of break that? I mean, you must have known about this device and how the top 1% of homeowners, or 0.1%, were blowing 100 grand, 10 high societies.
You know
on it.
what we did was we looked at that. We looked at that kind of a product. That was just too high a price point and too stratospheric a customer set. So what we really wanted to do was maybe go after top 10%, where you self-install it. Thus the wireless. And today about 90% of our systems are self-installed. So that's large. We sit below that segment, if you will. We sit into that segment too because people like. If you're a music fan, there really isn't any better experience than the Sonos. You know, if you want to control your lights and your
television, your jacuzzi,
then those are good systems.
Heated floors, whatever.
Exactly.
But you know, the crazy part about those is they never work. It's like the more you spend on your AV system, the greater the chance it's not going to work. And everybody I know who has a Sonos, and I know a lot of people who have this now, they are addicted to it. I mean, they swear by it. Anybody who has it. Anybody who doesn't have it goes, wow, what's the price tag on this? It's like $500 a room, $1,000 a room. I got 5 rooms. It's going to cost me 2 or 3 grand, 4 or 5 grand. How do you get people from, oh my God, this is going to cost thousands of dollars, to, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever, and becoming evangelists? I mean, how do you get people to do that switch?
You know, that's a endlessly debated topic in our marketing group, because, as you pointed out, someone who has the Sonos, they love it, and you never hear any negative comments on price. Where you have a challenge is we need to bring the entry price down, and you just keep working at that problem. It's a per room kind of mentality we have, is how do we bring that cost down per room? So the iPhone controller was a really big step for us, because that lets you start out at, our entry product is about $350 per room, and that with the iPhone controller, and you've got a starting point. But there's still a little too much complexity, and there's still a little too much cost to go mainstream yet.
And so how do you? And when it started, correct me if I'm wrong, it was more like $1,000 a room or $2,000 a room.
It still is. The package we would guide you to, which is a 2-room solution, starts at $999. Now, the challenge there is you don't go on a store shelf in Best Buy or on Amazon and see a 2-room solution. So that's still a
You're up against
$500 a room. Yeah.
I mean, is that the main competition, a boombox?
That's probably what is the alternative way for someone to do the same thing. That's most popular.
Get a Bose dock or whatever.
2 or 3, and move your iPod through the house. That's a bit of a challenge with an iPhone, because an iPhone's not really a dockable product. You don't want to drop it in a dock, get a phone call. But certainly for iPods, that's how you do it.
Yeah, I was at a bachelor party recently, and there was an iPod dock there, and somebody was using their iPhone as the DJ. And every 17 minutes they had to go and check their text messages. It literally almost resulted in a fist fight.
Yeah, I can imagine. Music's pretty important to people.
It is.
Especially at a bachelor party.
I'm visualizing the scene right now, and I'm actually regretting having brought that up. So how compatible is it with Apple's products at this point? I mean, I know you have the iPhone controller, and does Apple see you as competition right now, and how do you look at Apple? Because I know Apple's, every time iTunes gets updated, it feels like they're coming closer and closer to what you're doing. And it's like, oh, you can share my music, and it's a home system now. You can start to share what music you've purchased, and I think you can control iTunes from your iPhone now. So they're getting closer to what you do. They just don't seem to have the bass unit and the speakers and the amplification, right? Yeah,
they really focus on I kind of break up the music market into 3 ways you're going to listen to it: portable, and they are the undisputed heavyweight champion in that market, and working on increasing it. In the home, the market share is still these black boxes that are big and have sliding out trays, and their idea of a user interface is a nice knob that has good feedback. Right. And so I think that they play a small role in that. If you want to buy an Airport Extreme or an Airport Express and connect it to your iTunes, and then download an app on your iPhone, you can make it all work that way. But if you love music, there's just nothing like a Sonos from Apple like that. And I don't think they focus on that market at all. I think they make it possible to stream your iTunes, but I don't think they're really aiming for that. Now, maybe someday they will, but they've got big fish to fry right now. Our relationship with Apple has never been better. We're on the employee purchase plan for Apple. Now, any iTunes track you buy, you can play on a Sonos. So
DRM or not?
Well, no, there is no DRM now. So
well, most of them, right?
Yeah, no, all of them.
All, you DRM's completely off all
you can't
iTunes
buy a
songs?
song on iTunes. It's DRM.
Really? When did
Anywhere in the world. April.
Oh, is it April?
Yeah.
And what happens to all my old ones I bought with DRM?
You can upgrade them. So you're
legally.
Yeah. Yep.
So I used to have a program that
And
would
you
run
get a higher bit rate.
every night at midnight. That was this great little program that people were selling for $5. It would run
Broke your DRM? Yeah.
Well, a friend of mine had it, and what it would do every night is
Not you, Jason.
it would look for, maybe some of you have friends who have this program. It would every night run at 1 in the morning, look for is it M4 or whatever or something?
Yeah, M4P.
M4P. It would look for an M4P.
Yeah.
A terrible name. And then, depending on how you set this program up, my friend said it would delete the original and put an MP3 in its place, or keep the original, put an MP3, and so it's pretty interesting how things
I've
route
heard those
around it.
programs exist, yeah.
They
but
do,
you don't
they
need
do.
them anymore.
And so, what are your thoughts on? It's a slightly off tangent, but on Apple's position in the music industry at this point, and maybe some of the, I don't want to say monopolistic aspects of their business in terms of they own the majority of the portable music business.
Yeah, they're the number one music retailer online now, yeah.
And so it's both of those things.
Yep.
They're the number one retailer online and the number one portable player, and they don't let any portable players other than their own interface with it. So if you want your BlackBerry or your Zune,
that's the dance with Palm right now, right?
Right. Palm keeps cracking it.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? If you were running it, what would you do?
My personal opinion is I think Apple's far more concerned about the applications now than the music. I think they have a very active music store. It's successful. People that, it's a great user interface. It's easy to purchase things. But you've got a lot of competition now. You have Amazon. You have the Rhapsody, Napster stores. You've got Walmart. Around the world in the UK, you've got 7 Digital. So I think really what happened is the labels realized, hey, this is an important thing to have a variety of different venues for a customer to purchase from, and they've really opened up a lot. So, whether you buy a track from Apple or you buy a track from Amazon, you can play it on any device. So I think that's the way. It used to be you had this nasty thing called DRM, and everybody would talk about digital music because you had to talk about this stuff differently. That's all gone now, so it's just music again, and that's how it should be, right?
It should have been from the beginning.
Yeah. Yep.
You guys have no interest in making a portable player, I assume.
I don't think we've ever had a portable player on the roadmap, and certainly there isn't anyone now. Yeah.
And the company's around 6 years now. What's the state of the company? I mean, you guys were venture capital backed at some point?
We
raised some capital.
The founders bootstrapped the company through production. I think we had a angel investor that got us through first few months of sales, and then our first venture in the company was probably July of 2005. So there is venture. We have a wonderful venture capital. It's Bertelsmann, BV Capital, ex-Bertelsmann Ventures guys. Yeah. And also Investment Group of Santa Barbara. So.
And so how big is the company now? How many people? And I'm assuming sales aren't public, but...
Yeah, sales aren't public.
Right.
North of 150 people.
Wow.
I actually don't know the exact number.
Yeah, it's not important. And so all in Santa Barbara here, or?
No, we're split evenly in the U.S. between Santa Barbara and Cambridge, Mass. And then those two sites were from the very beginning. One of the co-founders was the founder, one of the co-founders of Vermeer Front Page, and he went off to Microsoft to start SharePoint. And his whole team moved back to Boston where they started, and they were the kind of core DNA to the software team for Sonos, and still are.
Interesting. And
there's an office in Penang, Malaysia, which is manufacturing support, and there's a big office in Europe a little over half our sales are in Europe.
And so what's next for the company? I mean, you've sort of captured this high-end market. It seems like there's really no competition for it other than the absurdly priced six-figure systems or doing the boombox, you know, sort of ghetto way of doing it. What's next? I mean, you can't sort of move it, you can't grow into portable players. That's just too crowded.
No, what we'd really like to do is
video?
make... no, I don't think you'll see us go near video. I mean, the mission of the company is fill your living space with music and bring it in from anywhere on the planet. And I think on either of those dimensions, we still have lots of opportunity and lots of work to do. So, you know, if you live in the U.S., you have a pretty good set of online cloud music services from Pandora, who's speaking later. You have Napster, Rhapsody, Last.fm, Sirius now. But, you know, as you go to France, there's one, Deezer. You know, as you go to Australia, nothing. So, you know,
so maybe streaming music is a good next step for you guys.
Yeah, increasing the content services. And, you know, it's an exciting time, actually, music, because there's more people than ever listening to music, and they're listening to more than ever. And there's an amazing amount of what I call dark music, music that's hidden away in the labels' catalogs or in other places. Like if you know Wolfgang's Vault, you know, it's all the Billy Graham recordings, and it's just an incredible treasure trove of music. No way to get at it. So, you know, that's a big focus for us. You know, we want to find every track ever made and make it available to you in your living room.
And so right now you use Rhapsody with your Sonos.
You can, yeah.
Pandora.
Yep.
And Last.fm.
Yep.
So you support all the other streaming services, but you don't have one of your own.
No, we do not have one of our own.
What do you think is...
And 25,000 internet radio stations and podcasts and...
Yeah, you know, I'm kind of sold. So subscriptions versus buying the music. What do you think will... Right now, obviously, buying music is the dominant paradigm. Yeah. 5 years from now, subscriptions will be the dominant paradigm, or downloading? What do you think?
Yeah, five is always the hard one to call.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I think subscriptions...
25, you can answer it easier.
Yeah. You know, you have a tough problem in that the peak music buying generation got used to Napster and couldn't buy digital music. So, you know, got out of the habit of... I mean, everybody in college would borrow somebody else's CD and copy it on a tape, or in my age, or, you know, collect it off of Napster or any of the services. But you'd get out of college and you'd buy everything, and so you'd have volumes of CDs or albums or whatever. And that generation got missed, and it's not like the music industry is going to have a you know, if you have 100,000 tracks, we'll give you a one-time discount on that, right? So how do you bring that group back in that has this taste for, you know, just a massive volume of music? Yeah. And the only way I see to do that is subscriptions. But subscriptions have been usability challenges. And so if you make, you know, on a portable player, nobody's really nailed the subscription model yet. There have been a bunch of tries at it, but you get on an airplane and, you know, your music timed out. Well,
that sucks.
That's not going to work, right? So I think for purchase made a lot of sense because the portable music, a la the iPod, you know, is the largest market. But I think as connected iPods and a la an iTouch or an iPhone happen, and in the home, subscriptions make total sense. In the U.S., I think probably 2/3 of our customers use at least one subscription service. So that tells you how...
Well, I mean, these are also people who are blowing it out with a couple of $1,000 system.
Yeah, but you know, music in the home is a social thing. You have a dinner party, you have a bachelor party, whatever have you.
It wasn't my party.
But I mean, inevitably someone's going to walk in and say, "Hey, do you have this Radiohead track?" And you're just going to want to play it.
Well, the Zune now, I just bought the Zune HD.
Yep.
Which is a gorgeous device.
Yep, it is.
And they let you download 2 or 3 songs. What is it? 2 or 3 songs a month if you have the subscription. So you get like subscription music plus a couple of tracks you get to keep.
Yeah, it's like the Napster offer.
What does the Napster offer?
It's $5 a month, and you get, I think, 5 MP3s a month. So it's virtually free, right? You know.
Pretty genius.
Yeah.
So that's really the way it's going to go. I mean, 5, 10,
that's,
25.
You know, what that is that's getting people into the model, right?
Yeah.
And you know, you have an interesting service in Europe, Spotify.
Sure.
I think have done a nice job with a subscription service, and you know,
How does that work exactly? It's $20 a month. You get all you can eat, and you can download a couple or something.
Well, it's not offered in the U.S., so
Right.
it's I don't know what the translated Great British pound rate is, but I think it's £12 per month. So yeah, 20 bucks. And yeah, they have a library, and then you can listen to whatever you want, and you can download them.
Wow.
You know, it is kind of melding those two models.
So all you can eat and all you can download
Yeah.
for essentially $250 a year.
Yep.
Which, if you think about consumption of CDs, would be roughly 20 CDs a year or something.
Yeah,
to that
which
effect.
is, you know, that's a no-brainer for
the music industry.
for traditional models.
Yeah.
Well, I think the challenge that
I mean, who bought 20
music
CDs a
industry-
year except for like music nerds?
Yeah, I think a lot of people did, and that's the
Did it?
problem
Did they
for
really?
them. Yeah. And you know, they got the labels got used to albums and you know, sales in multiple formats. A huge number of people rebought their library from albums to CDs, and that just didn't translate into the digital realm.
Yeah, I mean, they were taking advantage of the platform wars. I mean, for them to say like they really should have earned the money off you buying Dark Side of the Moon, on vinyl, 8-track, cassette, and then CD, and then HD CD or whatever. I mean, you really shouldn't have to pay for it 5 times. It's super inefficient.
Well, funny enough, the subscription services, the way they work is you're essentially paying per play, and that's the ultimate model for them. Now, it's at a lower volume, and the revenue ramp from that starts a lot slower, so it's hard to go from selling a lot of CDs or albums to, you know, getting paid per track, but ultimately it's a better model. And you know, we all know making music is no easier nowadays than it was, 50 years ago.
Making good music.
Yeah, making music. If you want to make noise, that's a different thing. But making music is hard. The artists have to get paid. They have to market. That hasn't changed. It's just the way you connect from the artist to the user is in dislocation right now.
And so, is that a long way of saying it's inevitable that we will wind up at subscriptions, and there will be a cutover period in which the music industry makes as much money as they can from the last paradigm to subsidize this new one? So maybe it's 7-8 years from now, or 10-12 years from now.
Remember, terrestrial radio was never a pay service. You had payola, but that was on the other side.
Right.
So you look at a modern service like a Pandora or Last.fm, and that is a modern-day terrestrial radio service, and it's worldwide. That's viable for all parties involved, assuming they're all reasonable about what piece of revenue they take, and the artists win in that model. And people are used to it. That's why it takes off. That's a subscription model. It might be an ad-based model or a subscription model, depending on whether you're the freemium or premium side. But people have been doing subscription things for quite a while. Cable TV is that, right?
Yeah.
It's just you got to provide a compelling service and not put the subscription in the person's way.
Why doesn't or why don't artists do a very simple type of I will email you a song and maybe a little bit of content in an email every week for $1 a week type service? I'm a huge Dylan fan. I own every Dylan album. I own a ridiculous number of bootlegs that I used to pay for down on Bleecker Street, and then wound up getting through tape traders in college, and then now off of the internet. And it's a hassle to go find these things.
Yeah.
And there's a large number of people who would just say, you know what, make it convenient for me. I would subscribe to Dylan for life.
Yeah.
And there's probably 3 or 4 artists that I might subscribe to in addition to that, just to get something interesting from them and to sort of keep that relationship going. Why hasn't anybody really done this model yet?
Well, you're asking the wrong party to if you're asking the artist to, because the artist is an artist in the end. They're not, that's why there are labels, and that's why there are marketing people, and that's what the value chain has to reconfigure so there are people doing what you're proposing. Because I think I agree with you.
Who's doing it now? Are there people doing it?
Well, there are bands doing that.
Yeah.
Topspin is selling.
Topspin,
that's
Ian's
right.
company.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So somebody actually had mentioned that they're
Yeah,
going to do
it's
that.
happening.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot, there's a lot of inertia in an old model that is changing.
Interesting.
And it, quite frankly, probably should have started 10 years ago because you've got a lot of people that now, I mean, I've sat down with my children and tried to explain that the food on their table was there because someone paid for something we did, and they needed to pay for the music they were downloading.
Right.
And it's, that's got to get back into the groove, so.
Was the issue with piracy, I mean, the initial issue with piracy was clearly, it just wasn't available digitally.
Yeah.
Is the issue with piracy now that maybe $1 a track is too high of a price point for younger people who want to sample more? If you could set the price, you were chairman of the Internet Music Committee, and you got to select the exact price of a track.
Yeah.
What price would you set it at to maximize revenue for the artists and labels while, sort of enabling young people to consume as much as possible, balancing those two different things?
Yeah, this is back to the days of 45s, and 45s, there were a lot that were the same price, there were a lot that have different prices, and I think that's a willing buyer, willing seller thing, and is
So
99 cents, yeah. I mean, are you going to pay more for a track you're absolutely in love with? For sure. And one that's maybe esoteric and you're one of 10,000 people that listens to it, you're going to, it should be a lower price. So I think that has to be variable. I mean, again, that's where the subscription services are nice because you hide all of that. What happens in those things is there are different prices per tracks quite often, but
they blend it.
But it's blended, and so it's hidden from the person.
So you don't have that dissonance of, I've got to buy this track for 99 cents, this one for $1.99, this one for 50 cents, this one for 10 cents.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch a movie on ABC, they paid some price for it that was different than the movie you probably watched the night before, but
that's their issue.
Yeah, exactly.
So variable pricing is really, subscriptions are really the holy grail, and variable pricing would be a nice solution for now.
Yeah, I think so.
Why would Apple do that? Is it?
They do it today. If you buy a track on Apple, you can see 129 to 69 cents.
Fair, but aren't the overwhelming majority 99? I don't know if I've ever, and I've bought hundreds of tracks off the service. I don't know if I've ever seen one that's not 99 cents.
I think if you looked, recently, you'd see a huge variable. You'd find less 99 than you'd think.
Really?
Yeah.
Has anybody here ever bought like a 69 cent or a?
Most popular 129.
Yeah, 129.
Yeah. Okay. So people have seen it on the upside. Has anybody seen it on the downside, like a 69 cent one? I wonder. Nobody. Yeah, interesting. And these are music people. So to the 275 people watching live and the people in the room, if you have a question, just put #TWiST on your Twitter, and we will ask it. Michael Roberson did mp3.com. Is it Roberson or Robertson?
Robertson, I think.
Robertson, yeah. Down in San Diego, did mp3.com back in the day. And I thought he had a pretty brilliant idea, which was your MP3s would be stored in a cloud.
Yeah.
And he had this cloud idea before cloud computing was a term.
He did, yep.
So a lot of credit to him, although he got destroyed and
sued
by
out
the
of
industry.
Existence, right.
Yeah, sued out of existence. It seems to me that my Sonos is a locker, and is it available for me to stream to myself?
No, Sonos will pull music from a variety of different sources, including in your house.
Right.
I believe the lockers in the clouds will happen, but they're really. Funny enough, he's doing one now called MP3 Tunes, but it's not it's not something in the mainstream zeitgeist of everybody right now. So it's not what you think about. Amazon, for example, has a digital locker for all your tracks. If you go up and look at it, just like the Kindle books, it's there. But they don't have the rights from the music company to store it there. Now, why that is, I don't really know, but I know that...
So are you saying they're breaking the law by storing it there, or...?
No, they won't. They know, for example, if you buy tracks off of Amazon or Apple or whoever, they know that you bought them, and they've got a virtual digital locker. They just won't let you pull it again from there.
Right, so it's basically the music industry being jerks about it. I mean, you paid for it, and now we're going to play I Got You. You didn't back it up. Now you got to buy it again.
Yeah, I don't know their reasoning behind it, but
They're jerks. It's clear. I mean, obviously they want to. Sorry to the music industry people. Is there anybody in here who made that decision from the music industry? I mean, as a consumer, we all agree this is a kind of a jerk-off move to. Oh, there's a kid in the room. Sorry about that. It's kind of a bad move. Right? So, do people build third-party applications for your service currently? Is there an API and stuff like that?
yeah, absolutely.
So, has somebody built a third-party API to
All
stream
those
your
services
locker?
I list, we don't have a locker service per se yet, so I don't think
Yeah.
we've been asked.
To me, seems like a no-brainer.
You'd be, our customers are not, are not your typical technical customers. They're music lovers, and so they want to set it up. They just want it to work, and trying to explain to somebody, take the music out of your iTunes, upload it to the service, and that,
What about
that's a bit too far right now.
I have a second home, which I bet you a lot of people in your demographic
Yeah.
have, and I want to put in my cabin or my ski chalet a
Well,
Sonos. Can
yeah.
you sync across the web those two
Well,
systems?
if you use Rhapsody or Napster, for example,
You don't
it's a
have to.
no-brainer for that, right?
But what about syncing, connecting them to and having a WAN, a
Yeah.
Sonos WAN?
Yeah, there are a variety of products that can do that. But again, how many people have ski chalets that they have backed up, high availability storage in? So yeah, they're there, no doubt. I mean, we have customers with 32 zones. That's a big house.
Is that the biggest installation?
Those are the biggest. Yeah, that's the top limit for us.
32 zones.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. We bought a house that had a speaker system in the ceiling.
That was built in.
Yeah, I guess the previous owner put it
Yeah.
in. And so we have a baby coming in December. My wife wants to put sound systems everywhere. So she is Sonos obsessed.
Yeah.
And so I'm
You'll
like,
love it for the babies.
yeah, but so I'm just like, whoa, this is going to cost a couple grand. The boombox not working for you? I got 2 boomboxes. No. She wants the way you got her was the remote control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, baby, you can with the iTouch, you can up a touch, and there's a little. But the Sonos one is beautiful, and it's so easy to use. And I'm just like, God, it's gonna cost me like $3-4 grand to do
Yeah.
this.
Curiously, the first buyer for us is usually a male, and then the second buyer is the
Really?
equivalent of.
What about
yeah.
cheap men who don't want to spend money? That's me.
Well, they
I'm going to get it now. I mean, it's almost like I think you've got people on the ease of use and the beauty of that remote control. Was that a central focus of it? Was that making the remote something really appealing to people?
You've got to make the music. You got to be able to choose the music wherever you are, right? And that's
That's the key.
Remote is key. Your phone's going to be a pretty impressive remote over time. There's a lot of innovation in that space. So our iPhone controller is a great example of that. So it'll be some combination of something that you pass around, because you don't really want to pull your phone out of your pocket and pass it around at a dinner party.
No.
And something that
Text messages start
sits in your
coming
pocket.
Yeah. So, question from the audience from howsthe.com on Twitter asks if you'll have an Android remote anytime soon.
We are actively looking at that in BlackBerry. The challenge with Android is it's not Android, it's which platform is it on. So,
Right. So many different Android phones.
Yeah, it's not a homogeneous platform. And one thing we're possessed about is it has to be just a great experience. If it's not a great experience, we're not going to do it.
Yeah. Preppin asks on Twitter, how do you address the issue of duplication, i.e. music on my Zune, iPhone, computer, Sonos, etc.? Synchronization is sort of a big problem, right?
Yeah, the way we bit that off is we ask you where you put your music and we'll pull it from there. So if you're an iTunes user, we'll pull it out of your iTunes library. You have to tell us where it is.
And then you'll store it on the device.
Yeah, if you're a Zune user, it'll be sitting in your My Music. No, we don't store it.
You don't store it.
So we don't have
look
to
at that hard drive.
Yeah, so we'll index it. So when you pull up the controller and say, hey, I want to listen to the Rolling Stones, Tattoo You, Start Me Up, well then, you'll have seen the album art, you'll see all the names, and then we'll go fetch the file to play it for you.
So that computer goes off.
So everything's live.
Yeah, so those computers go off, then it's off the Sonos system.
Yeah, if they go to sleep, that's true.
And so if you have 5 laptops in the house, or 5 people in the house, 5 different music collections, you consolidate those into
we do.
the system
Yep.
and deal with the duplication issue.
Yep. Yeah, we won't show you a duplicate, even if there are some.
Interesting. Somebody's pointing out here, Jess Rubenfeld, that Spotify is not all you can download. You can cache 3,333,
Yeah.
which is essentially...
He's absolutely right. There are all sorts of rules around each of these services.
Yeah.
I abbreviated them.
What about cars and mobile? Is that a place you guys think you would go? I mean, it seems like Ford has something, right, where you can...
Yeah, I forgot
Flex, what is it called? Fusion?
that work
What
with
is it?
Microsoft.
Sync system. You pull
Yeah.
into your house, it connects over Wi-Fi and
Yeah.
synchronizes. Is that
Yeah.
something you're thinking about, or?
We've talked to a couple of the car companies, but it's not. That would be something that we wouldn't really do. And they're all hunkering down after a terrible economy.
Yeah. And how many different things can they put in there, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean they're under such attack. The PDA devices are better that you buy than the one in your car. So they've got to really rethink the way they go about things to be more of a platform approach. And I don't think they're there yet. So
great. So let's bring Lon on for the news. We do a news segment at the end.
Great.
So you're willing to talk about just general technology news.
Sure.
Anybody in the audience have any questions about Sonos, the music industry? There's one.
One of the thoughts was with regards to mobile devices and cars and actually having access to the same interface that you have at home when you're
Yeah.
connected. What about like a technology like Sling Player, like Sling Media, interfacing with that over the 3G network, something along those lines?
yeah, it's an area. Portable music and usually in your car are personal experiences, so you're going to have a library that fits your personality, so to say. I mean, you might have a Pandora station or two or something like that in addition, but the music in the home is more of a social experience, and so they're a little different, the requirements around those. So, and then on top of that, you're sitting on an airplane, you're not going to be streaming to that device, so you're going to have a local copy for the portable music solution. I think the automotive solution is interesting. You might want to pull that out of your library in your house, but it's early days on that scale of things, and that's explaining to somebody a lot. I mean, just to explain to somebody how to use Pandora on their iPhone in their car is not a small task.
Somebody's asking if you'll be at CES 2010. I mean, you're at CES every year.
There's a lot of debate over the
value
relevance
of
of CES, yeah. And I'm sure we'll be there, but yeah.
I mean, you got to be there. Yeah, if there's some people there. Oh, I guess the question is, will you have a booth?
Yeah. Well, CES ironic thing because the consumer electronics peak period is calendar Q4. So
and it starts January 5th.
And it starts January 5th. So what do you think in introducing a new product there?
Right. You're thinking, I missed the window.
Yeah. Or all your buyers in the last quarter are buyer's remorse, right?
June, July would be good.
Yeah, well, that's called IFA in Europe.
Yeah. Interesting.
IFA.
Fascinating. And we actually met back in the day because you started in 2003. We started Weblogs Inc. in 2003.
Yep.
We started a little blog called Engadget.
Yep, and we were huge fans of Engadget, yeah.
Yeah, so the writers were obsessed with your products and had them.
Yep.
And you were actually one of the first 2 or 3 advertisers in the entire Weblogs Inc. network.
Yeah, we tried to buy up Engadget at one time, I think.
Oh, yes, I know. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That looks really good on the books. But it was kind of interesting back in those days. You were pretty brave about actually advertising on blogs. Because at the time, you I don't know if you realize, you were probably one of the first 20 companies to advertise on blogs.
Yeah.
Who on your team is responsible for that?
Yeah, we have a brilliant guy, Thomas Meyer, who really did. He's back in the back corner there. Thomas,
looking at his shoes.
Thomas did 2 things that were really amazing. He treated the bloggers just like the press, same rules, same everything.
Yes.
Okay, and you guys really responded well to that, and it was the right thing to do. It's how it's done now.
Absolutely.
And in that time period, most of the PR agencies
they wouldn't give access.
Exactly. And then he was the first to realize that's where you were getting real reviews, not not the pay-to-play stuff in some of the other magazines. And not that they're all that way, because of course it's a free-for-all now, and you
Right.
can
In large part due to blogs.
Yeah.
You crack the whole system.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think he was the first one to see that and had the vision, frankly, well ahead of any of us, but he got us all there, and it really worked well. You know, we had a great relationship with Engadget.
I remember.
It worked great.
Interesting. Lon, anything in the news this week that you can share with us?
A couple things. Well, it is a music event, so let's start with the biggest music news of the week. Miley Cyrus has quit using Twitter.
Wow.
Almost immediately, the Miley comeback hashtag was the #1 trending topic. There were even rumors that Thursday was down for like 3-4 hours in the morning, that was because of the crazy traffic from people discussing Miley Cyrus leaving. So why do you think this was such big news? And why don't teens use Twitter?
Wow. Teens are usually in social networks, and they text a lot. But I think we'll eventually be on Twitter, I think. So that might just be a time issue. I think it sort of started in the older community, so for that question. But it's getting there. There's always a backlash at some point. I mean, people shut their MySpace pages down. People turn their websites off. I mean, anytime anything is growing so big, I mean, basically this means that Twitter is mainstream and is going to, grow to great significance if people are
when the
quitting.
news is that someone left something, that means you've made it.
Yes, you've arrived officially. In related news, somebody is removing their Sonos system.
Right. Yeah.
We're taking the Sonos system out of the White House.
He's done.
Give me their names.
Yes, exactly. Is there a Sonos system in the White House?
I think there's one in the Capitol, but I don't think there's one in the White House.
Why don't you send Obama a complimentary Sonos? He's working on it? Okay.
There's probably a lot of zones in there.
A lot of zones in the White
zones
House.
in the White House.
Absolutely. I guess my reaction to that is who cares? But yeah.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
Please.
She'll be back.
Music. It was hard.
She'll be
It's hard
back.
to find a music store.
I guarantee she'll be back. I mean, who's gonna? That's like throwing away your mailing list. At some point, she may actually want to communicate to her fans.
Fair enough.
She may have tickets to sell.
That's like the old Beanie Babies. You'd get more press for saying you weren't going to make them anymore than.
That's true.
Yeah.
I was going to say, did Miley sell her
We're
Beanie
talking
Babies
about
too?
Miley. She was successful.
Exactly. Well played, Miley Cyrus. Link baiter extraordinaire.
Right, yeah,
I think that's our first celebrity link
It
baiter.
was all planned.
Yeah.
Maybe. All right, so let's move on to Spiffbox. They are a new social network. Unlike Facebook and some other sites, they're trying to connect you with people you don't already know. They want to help you make new friends, promote yourself to people who aren't familiar with you. The big difference, though, is that they want to pay you money for every action you take on the site. So when you do things like friend new people or chat with them or post things, you get points, and then you can, every time you earn 2,000 points, you can cash them out for $20. And to give you an example, like if I requested you be my friend, I get 10 points.
Yeah.
So you think this is going to encourage interaction, the sort of pay per use feature, or is it just going to encourage a lot of gaming?
This is not a joke, right?
This is a real.
Not a fake.
I've made mistakes before, so I've verified on 2 different tech blogs.
So here's the problem. There is probably a good idea in there, like finding people who you would like, who you don't already know. I mean, a lot of the services have that feature. Like you might like this person,
LinkedIn
right?
Like suggested friends.
Suggested friends. Okay, so that's a good idea. Making a service out of it means the entire service will be filled with losers who don't have any friends, which I think is kind of a weird service to have, right? It's like these are all the people who nobody's friends with, and they're all going to be in one place and become friends with each other. This sounds like you're connecting a bunch of serial killers together. I mean, these are the people who shoot up.
Itself is not a bad idea.
California.
I mean, maybe
They
they'll
need
kill
to
each
play
other,
just
but
like everyone else.
No, so that's sort of like, this is what happens sometimes with entrepreneurs. They have like some inkling of a good idea, and then they start bolting things onto it, and it makes it a bit of a disaster, and they don't realize it. So bolting virtual currency onto friendship, terrible idea. Virtual currency on a game, great idea.
Yeah.
Virtual currency on trading music, maybe a great idea. Like if I send you a song and I get, and you buy it and I get like 1/10 of a song and you give it to a friend, that might be fun, sure. Or if I recommend a band to you. There's applications for virtual currency. It's very powerful. Multiple companies in Asia are publicly traded with over $1 billion in virtual currency revenue. Virtual currency is an entirely new category of revenue for the internet. It's sort of a fun way to do subscriptions, and get people involved. However, applying it to friendships makes the friendship based on money, which nobody kind of likes those friendships, and it will result in, as you mentioned and alluded to, massive gaming. Well, the 20 of us will just add each other and...
Yeah, it seems a lot like if you get points for chatting with people, you would just get a lot of chats that are like, hey, let's chat.
Yeah, this is a disaster. This company, this is a total disaster. This company won't be here within 18, 24 months. And I'm assuming it's a joke. If the entrepreneurs...
It's not a joke.
Okay, if the entrepreneur is watching, good on you for coming up with a sort of realizing there's a good feature there, but you're going down the wrong path. It's going to flip over and crash and burn, fiery death. So maybe change direction quick.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think? This is a disaster, right?
I don't see the value there.
Right. So I mean, if we don't see the value, there is no value. Anybody here psyched to use this service? Okay, great. There you go. Boom. Okay. Right. For the entrepreneur, nobody raised their hands out of 100 people, right? So I mean, if you describe a service and nobody raises their hand, it's either you're so brilliant that you came up with something that nobody on the planet can understand. I mean, if 20% of the people do it, then you might be onto something. That's good, actually. If you said, hey, I'm going to, in 2003, when you described Sonos, if only 10, 20% of the room raises their hand.
That's what you want.
That's what you
don't want everybody to raise their hand.
Yeah, you don't want everybody to understand it, because that means it's obvious, right? So you want just enough people that it's not obvious, but not none. None is really dangerous.
None is a bad thing.
Yeah, none's a bad thing.
All right, let's move on to a site I know you do like, StumbleUpon. They're in the middle of a pretty significant reinvention.
Yeah.
They're trying to make their 35 million bookmarked web pages more accessible and searchable. So the previous...
They're going to build a search engine.
Right, the previous sort of paradigm for them was you click and you stumble to the next site.
Yeah.
And now they're basically turning it into more sort of a delicious
directory
competitor where it's a searchable directory of sites. So you think this is a smart move, or are they moving away from the thing that made them really unique?
The thing that made them really unique made them into a boutique business.
Right.
So the same thing with Delicious. You know, the bookmarking concept. How many people here have bookmarked links in the last month? Like use bookmarking, right? Oh, everybody's. So how many people here use Delicious every month? Okay, I'm not talking about the bookmark feature on the browser, but like a service like Delicious. It's generally, I think, that concept of bookmarking is for geeks and nerds. And maybe, I'm including myself, I have a Delicious account, but only maybe 5-10% of the audience wants to be bookmarking stuff. It's not for everybody, so it's never going to be a mainstream service. So what StumbleUpon is a victim of is the bookmarking and stumbling concept is maybe 10 million people a month. I don't know how many they get, 15 million, whatever it is. It's a boutique kind of service. So they have to do something to get to the next level. They're not in business to sort of get to 5 million and go sideways, or 10 million people and go sideways. So being a directory or a search engine, not a bad idea. Maybe they'll get some SEO traffic from that if they can do it properly.
Well, it's very hard to get to like one permalink for a bookmark that's been made. So if they do that, that's definitely.
I mean, basically, if you look at Dig, probably, I don't know, Sean Purcell would know. Dig's traffic, 60% from search engines, you think? 70%? Probably Dig.
Not that much, but a lot.
Probably half of Dig's traffic is search engines.
Right.
And Dig, they're not the original owner of the traffic. I mean, they put one sentence about the traffic and then a bunch of comments, and they hijack in a way or become an intermediary between the actual destination site. So how many times have you searched for something and the Dig link comes above the actual link?
Content.
All the time. And so this sort of middleman, intermediary concept, you have to provide a lot of value to in order for Google and Yahoo to let you get away with it. Dig does, because there's usually 20, 30 good comments. And eventually you're going to click through the story anyway. Right. So that's what StumbleUpon is going to try to do here, is try to actually make a permalink page that gets SEO traffic between them, and maybe then they can... Garrett Camp has massive Kevin Rose envy. And so do I. I mean, whatever. Kevin Rose is a god. He's got, 50 million people using that service. Is it's pretty brilliant. But I think StumbleUpon hit its natural ceiling, and now they're going to try to break through it. I mean, that's what they're going to try to build Dig, basically, into their service.
Right.
Yeah, it's 50-50. Coin toss if it's going to work. I don't know. Do you use any of these services, StumbleUpon, or?
Yeah.
You like StumbleUpon?
Yeah.
Do you use it?
I don't use it that much.
Right. When do you use it? Like, just you want to check out some cool stuff? Time to waste?
Probably in a niche area.
I see.
So.
Interesting. How many people here use StumbleUpon? Have a StumbleUpon account? Yeah, it's like maybe 5 people, 6 people, so it's not insignificant. But that's the point: is it hasn't broken through. So it's good on them to try something else. I love StumbleUpon. I think it's a great service. It's always interesting. Tyler has an insight.
No, we're getting the one more news story.
Oh,
and
one
then
more
we have to
news
wrap
story, and then
it
we
up.
have to wrap.
So let me see.
I thought Tyler had an insight.
I'll give you a
No
choice
insights,
what
okay.
you want to talk about. Kayak, becoming addicted to iPhone apps, Bright Kite, or a new site called Neighbor Goods where you share your actual possessions.
What is this like Kreskin? I'm supposed
Yeah,
to tell
that's
you.
right. A chimp, a wimp, and a blimp.
What is Jimmy Wales? You pick.
Me pick. Okay.
No,
well-
no.
Oh,
Or
you
guest.
pick.
Or,
Yes,
here's what
It's
you
got to
think.
be iPhone
Nobody.
apps, right?
iPhone apps. Addicted to iPhone apps. Yes.
USA Today has identified a new syndrome it has titled app abuse. It implies that addiction to iPhone apps and games could become a real addiction that may even impact your health. The article quotes experts from the up-and-coming field of internet addiction recovery. One of them suggests that if you spend 2 hours or more a day engaged with a digital device and you're not working, it's not for your job, you may have app addiction. So what do you think? Do you think it's a real... People have app addiction, or is this just another
They
sort of
must
trend
hate the
story?
Nintendo PlayStations then.
Yeah, exactly. I think Obama emailing with Scarlett Johansson all the time now has made him a...
Really?
That's not business, right? I mean, there's
Well,
got to be
hey,
app
I don't-
addiction.
I don't know. Maybe,
This is
they're
a-
producing
this is,
something.
You know what this is? This is USA Today, no offense, and other newspapers are a bit of a disaster right now, and they're trying to come
Drumming
with
something up.
They're trying to get something on the front page of Dig. I mean, that's basically, this is going back to Dig, you know, all roads lead back to Dig. Basically, this is some editor at that publication sat in an editorial room and said, we need something to get to the front page of Dig because we haven't got to the front page of Dig in 7 days. Oh my God, who's got ideas? And somebody said, well, what if we did something like on an addiction type thing? And they said, oh, well, what would people be addicted to? I don't know. What's the latest thing that people are into? Oh, apps. Okay, yeah, so app addiction, that sounds good. People will click on that. People will vote for it. Let's do that. That's all. It's just a lot of
news.
things are made up by the media.
Manufactured news.
It's manufactured. Thank you. You've crystallized my thoughts eloquently. This is manufactured news, as opposed to This Week in Startups. This is authentic, real. This is
Only the hardest
this
hitting
is steak.
stories I go.
Steak, as opposed to
Right.
you're giving me whipped cream. This is steak. All right. Anyway,
He picked it. Blame the guest.
write it up.
The Bright Kite story was very hard.
So here is some good news for the people who were in the review contest. You picked a winner.
Yes, well, Alex, the producer of This Week in Startups, and I.
Oh, okay. So you and Alex picked a
teamed up
winner,
and picked a winner.
So for the people, we did a review contest. And
Great.
They get a $500 iPhone card,
Awesome.
$500 Apple card. You can buy an iPhone with it, or 500 songs.
A lot of apps with that.
A lot of
Yeah.
apps. A lot of apps. This will be
Don't get
addictive.
doodle jump though. You will get addicted.
And so the review
Right,
posted by
awesome.
Minority Fortune. Won.
Yes, that was the name of the blog. It was
Why?
it was really well organized. It was very readable.
Okay.
A lot of the people, a lot of great submissions, but a lot of the people were writing very exhaustive, like, and then Jason scratched his temple, and then he said this, and then
Right, yeah,
and it was just very like too much. And this blogger really sort of zeroed in on a few things they liked, a few things they didn't like. It really read well. I mean, you got through it really quickly and got a good idea for what the show was all about.
Let's thank our guest, John MacFarlane, audience. He did a great job. Super honest.
Thank you, Jason.
Of course. Great. Good on you for being super honest about all the new features you're launching in the next 12 months. We heard that Sonos 3.0 is coming out with a locker service, your own subscription service, and a portable device. So if
All of the
anybody,
above.
if anybody would like
And we'll
to
be free.
put that on Dig and link to TWiST, that we had breaking news, that'd be great. Thank you to Ustream, WebSpy, Audible_COM, and DNA Mail. Everybody loves that DNA Mail. Thank the sponsors. Thanks to everybody at New Noise for hosting this show.
Yeah.
Thanks to the audience, and thank you for being involved.
My pleasure.
And we'll see everybody next week on This Week in Startups, when we will discuss the angel investor brouhaha that's been going on. Let me ask you this, as an entrepreneur, final question.
Yeah.
What do you think of angel investors and VCs charging you to pitch them?
Oof.
Oof. There you heard it there, folks. Oof.
I
is
don't
right.
think you have a very good idea if you have to do that.
Thank you. You once again crystallized my thoughts eloquently. If you have to pay to have a VC hear your idea, or an angel investor, means two things. One, that person is a DB. I'm not referring database. Two, you're like one of those people who can't get an audition for a modeling agency, and then you go to one and they say, oh my God, you're the most beautiful person ever after you've been turned down 20 times, just go here for some acting lessons for $3,000 and we're going to do a photo shoot for $1,700. You're being worked.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Oofa. Oof. We will. So anyway, I'm on a little bit of a tirade about that. We'll talk about that jihad next week. I published the email today on calicanis.com. I got about 500 responses already on this.
It was a very.
I'm going to destroy every one of them.
Very controversial.
Every angel forum out there. I will tell you right now, if they do not remove all these fees by the next week's show, and they put a note on their website that the fees are removed, no. We are going to launch the Open Angel Forum in your city, and we are going to put our angel show right next to yours, perhaps after it, and there'll be people outside your show with flyers, and we will destroy you. That is a promise. Thank you for tuning into This Week in Startups.
No,
Good choice.
good. It was a good choice. It was a good choice. Yeah.
300 and